Hey everybody, so today I'm gonna strip the wire I pulled out of that dumpster. I have a lot of other wire to strip, but I just really wanted to see how much we ended up getting on that load. I got the stripper that I picked up from Dan. I was trying to figure out where I could sit in the sun and have the sun to my back, so that's why I chose this spot. The birds have been all happy since the weather's so nice. My guess is we're gonna have 50 pounds of or 40 pounds of clean wire after we're done, and a bag of trash. The first thing I have to do is untwist everything a little bit so that way we can get to where I can start using the stripper. The stripper does work really, really well. I'm gonna show you how to do that, and I'm gonna put you on time lapse while I untwist some of this wire. Today is gonna be a good day to go scrapping or trash picking also, because since the weather's so nice, people are outside doing a little bit of spring cleaning since that cold last week. So the stripper, we got it for 200 bucks on eBay, and it works real nice. Oh, rolled it off. All right, so look what it did on the back here. The stuff that went through, stripped it out perfect. It's a little deep right now, and that's why it rolled off. It put a line in the copper. So I just need to raise it up just a hair. Why is it wide? Of course, now it's not raising and lowering. Why is that? Something came undone. I'm gonna have to take it apart. Of course, as soon as I started, it decided to let's see if it's just stuck there or no. So somehow the free spool came off. I think it has to do with this. It's always the first piece that screws up whenever you want to mess with something. So this normally takes the blade and puts it down and up. Oh, there it goes, going down. I got it tightened now. I want it to come up just a hair. This nut came loose, and that's why the... Alright, it seems like it's running. I think that's one of my favorite things about scrapping is you do it outside, you get to, I mean, right now we're here in the road, but we get to listen to the birds and the wind, get to enjoy the nice day. It feels like you're making a little bit of money, even though you do scrap because you like it. You don't really you don't make a lot of cash on scrap. It's just one of those activities you get to do outside, and on days you can't watch YouTube or TV. This still is messed up. Doesn't want to raise. So, alright, I got to figure out what exactly happened to this. I'll get back to you in a second. Alright, I think I got it. Alright, so you can see how it just stripped the wire almost perfect. And we'll put all the trash on one side, and then I'll come back and get all the nice clean copper on the other side. But first I'm gonna untwist the wire that's wire that's all twisted from that, I forget what it is, whatever that encased wire is called. All right. So it's a lot harder than it looks to actually split the wire apart that's all twisted up. It's definitely going to take a few beers to sit here and untwist everything, because if you pull it, it just kinks. I'm thinking maybe if I go get a pair of shears and just cut it into smaller pieces, that might be the fastest way to do it, because this is going to take several hours doing it this way. Again, some things for scrap is you do it for how relaxing it is. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds out here, but they do sound pretty great, especially being cooped inside. We've had I did kind of let the backyard grow like really long this last year, but that was because I had baby foxes in the back, and I didn't want to scare them away. And then we started getting we have 2 falcons that come here all the time. They'll sit on that the swing set, and I don't know, tons and tons of little birds. But it's almost time for that spring clean in to clean it all up, make it look nice again, especially before the fox has another den of pups. Mosquitoes are never really bad over here, but you can see how long it takes just to do one piece. It's got to be 2-3 minutes of untwisting. I mean, I'm sure there's a easier way to do it. You can see once I pulled it, I made a kink right there. And that won't go through the machine easy. This stuff, once you strip it, it comes out already separated. It's not twisted. It's this twist that's messing me up with stripping this wire. It'll test your patience. The easiest way to describe it. I'm just happy it's such a pretty day. I do have a lot of other things to scrap too. One of the things I really need to work on is my AC collection, just because with the winter everybody's been throwing out their ACs. I guess don't want to store them, or they move. I have no clue, but there's probably I've picked up easy 20-30 large air conditioners. I've traded Dan, my one friend Dan really likes scrapping ACs, and I traded him for some computers. So that was right where that kink was, and it just kicked it right out. But you can see how well it's stripping the wire. Just kinked wire doesn't go through the machine as easy. So put that back in there. Come on, don't you want to go? All right, well, we'll see if it. But this little machine for the $200 really does a good job. I'm very impressed with it. In about an hour you can strip a I'd say 50 to 60 pounds if you don't have this stuff that's all twisted. Nice straight wire, or especially if you get something on a spool, it will run right through a spool of wire really fast. If you had spools, you probably could do 100 pounds, 200 pounds an hour. If you made a little setup where all you had to do was have the spool spin. I think the way to go, though, is take everything and cut it to about that size, about 2.5 foot, 3 foot. Just with the twisting wire, most wire I don't just have that problem with. You can see I have it kind of set just right now. Today is Tuesday, so I have to get ready for the flea market tomorrow. I have to figure out what I'm going to take. I know I'm going to take part of the load from Sunday, and I have to mix in some new inventory so that way I can sell to the regulars who are always there. One of the tricks to the flea market is you can't always bring the same thing. If you bring the same thing every time, you're not going to make any money. So what I'm going to do is, you can see that it's stripping really well. I'm just going to let all that fall off, and then once I strip the pile that I've untwisted, I'll go and take the sheath off all one time instead of breaking my stride. Hope that's a good angle for you guys to see what I'm doing. How to twist. So I didn't want to kink the wire and then it wouldn't go on the next when I did this black piece. You can see how it just feeds right in, real easy. My friend's father has a stripper that it's mounted to, but it'll do any size. And he used to buy bins of wire from the scrapyard, and the scrapyard does not doesn't let you, or doesn't sell you stuff anymore. I guess they're worried about the way it's processed or handled, or they just don't want it to be improperly recycled. Like, I guess people were buying bins of wire and then burning the cases off or something instead of hand stripping, or sending it. There must be a way you can send this through a ball hammer mill or something to get all the wire off, or to get all the sheathing off. But I don't know. Right now, this is the cheapest and fastest way that I know how to strip wire. I have been pretty lucky finding estate sales and stuff with all my connections. It's one of those things, I guess, if you let everybody make some money, it tends to and be a help. People tend to give you a call back. Also helps not being a real asshole or something. Like, let people, I guess you need a little bit of people skills. But just because, you know, somebody doesn't want to bring somebody over to a house to buy stuff, especially if you're gonna whine or always lowball on the price. I mean, I pay a little bit more than I would sometimes at like a flea market or a yard sale, but I also have first shot on a lot of the things, so it definitely works. And you have to know what the person you're going with, like if you're gonna go buy bulk off of somebody who does clean outs, you have to know what they want, like what makes them happy to do this. Like, I have some friends that they want all the brass and copper scrap. As long as I don't ask about the brass or copper or the light iron, they're happy that I'm buying the antiques. I have other friends that want all the coins, jewelry, stuff like that from the house. I was going to send that through the stripper one more time. And I guess it's really I mean, I built a relationship probably with 5 or 6 different people who do estate cleanouts, and I guess I kind of do it the right way, because they always seem to have me back, or don't mind when I show up. And it is kind of an art form, trying to keep people happy, especially when it's not your job. I don't do a lot of the that pulled right off. I don't do a lot of the jobs myself right now, just because I don't want to deal with throwing away all the trash. I don't mind doing a house where the people are going to pay for a dumpster, and I only have to fill up the dumpster. I'll do jobs just to fill up the dumpster if the stuff in the house is nice and clean. But I don't know. At the end, it's all about making money. You have to make it worth your time. Everybody's got bills, and it's definitely tricky trying to figure out what you need to do when you don't know where your next paycheck's going to come, like from here. Like, I don't know the next time I'm going to find a huge pile of wire, but I know I have a lot of, like, it causes a lot of hoarding, because I do squirrel away things, because I know sometimes you might go 4 or 5 weeks without finding any good deal or something like that. And then where you're gonna go get your inventory, I guess you could always go to one of the like live auctions. I don't know if you guys have ever seen how Taco Stacks goes and buys the tray lots and stuff like that. I used to do that for years. I didn't have fun anymore going to do it, so that's why the main reason I don't go to those that style auction anymore. The storage rooms have really paid off recently for me. I kind of know what I'm looking for in a storage room. When I buy a storage room, I try to find sorry about that. I try to find something in the room that shows me that the people had money at one time. Either if it's like a nice clean leather couch, KitchenAid mixer. I try not to buy rooms that have all particle board or stuff like that. Like the one where I bought the guitar case, I saw the guitar case, I saw the Samsonite luggage, and I figured if the guitar was there, I would just trade money, and maybe there was something in the luggage. It didn't look like it was just clothes and stuff, so that was why I bid so high on that room. That, and I wanted to show you guys that there wasn't gold in everything, but oh well. that one didn't work there. How else do I get stuff? I definitely find a lot of good things when I'm driving around picking trash. I try to look for the houses that look like they're cleaning, they're moving, or they're cleaning out the house. If you can get to a house before they order a dumpster, a lot of times they just want stuff out, and if it means they have to order a smaller dumpster because you're taking a lot of stuff, people will give you things. I don't advertise on any of the marketplaces or anything. I have friends that do that. I have friends that advertise for scrap. I have friends that advertise for house cleanouts, and yes, they do get work that way. I haven't had the need to. I have plenty of stuff right now, it seems. So I'm working on selling it. I am talking about selling. I am thinking about how to offer you guys stuff that I've picked up, just because I haven't really been very good at, if somebody wanted this stripped copper, for example, I haven't been good if somebody messages me on selling it or getting it aside. I mean, I put it aside a lot of the times. It's just I don't really have time to go home and then figure out how to mail it, write out the shipping. I don't know if they have a shipping label for people who don't use eBay. That's the one thing I have to figure out. If anybody knows that, please let me know, because that would make life way more simple than having to handwrite out, or as long as I can print out a shipping label. I mean, I know how to do it with eBay. I just don't know how to do it with something I sell on Facebook, for example. Because if you had to handwrite 20 packages in an afternoon, that's going to eat up 2-3 hours. I don't know. Definitely makes it I've been thinking on how to do it, so I'm starting to get a nice little pile together. Now, what will happen with all the strips that came off from this, if you wait till the end, when you pick it up, it kind of all binds itself together, and you can pick it up and put it right in a garbage bag one time. I'm going to show you right when I was talking how much we just did. There's one more piece over here. Is this stripped? Yep. Normally I use a little like ice pick or something to start it, but today the stripper seems to be pretty well dialed in. Right after this, I'm going to go get my first tasty beverage of the afternoon. It's probably an hour or two after lunch. That's what I got so far for the first 15 minutes of playing scrapping. All right, I'll be back in a second. So I got my beer, and I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cut this stuff into about just under 2 feet, and it should make it fairly easier to untwist. My buddy Naz is here, and he's gonna say hi, right, Naz? Hey, he's having a beer also. It's such a nice day, he stopped over. But I figure if it's right around 2 feet, I'll show you how much faster. It's Naz, how you been?
Not bad.
Any good finds in the world?
Yeah, just looking for toys for the toy show we're gonna do.
I really think that's all the toys that I got from Toys vs. Tools and some of the toys I've been picking up. I think me and Naz have been talking about doing a toy show. I think that would really make it, I don't know, a lot easier to sell than if we did like $1,500, $2,000 on one show instead of what, like $200-$300 at the flea market for months.
Not the best place to make money.
I'd rather try it at the toy show than take it to the flea market and sell whatever's left for cheap. I mean, a lot of it might be good for eBay.
Oh, a lot of it is good for eBay, but with eBay it's tough because something's broken or cracked or missing. They're just gonna take your money and keep the toy.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I know. My one thought on eBay is try to keep it simple, like where it's under $20, and then you tend to miss the scammers. Like, you don't want to sell your gold, your fancy watch. I mean, you might have 6 times where you have no problem, but that one time that you do have a problem, it takes away almost all your profit. So I don't know. I try to. So that went a lot faster and it was a lot easier on my hands cutting that into those strips. So I just try not to sell higher end items just because of that. And it really hurts when you have to like give a $500 refund or a $600 refund. Yeah. I've had friends who sell like rare toys and stuff, and then people send them back the same toy, but it was theirs that wasn't as in good condition. Well, so
like our friend Mike
had that problem once.
Oh yeah, his on YouTube, I think I told you, but he called up the person. He used to be a police officer.
This is Mr. T Mike.
Oh yeah, what is it, New York's finest, something like that.
Is his eBay store?
Yeah. Well, no, that's his YouTube channel. But yeah, he just talks a lot about stuff that happens. But yeah, he sold some G.I. Joes and the guy scammed them and sent back like one that's broken, even though none of them were broken, and all this crazy stuff happened. The guy Mike called him up, found his address, found his phone number. Like, I wouldn't say threatened him, but he told him like, look dude, I have access to cameras that watch your front house 24/7. Anyway, in the end he won and he got his money back, and the guy never called him or whatever. But yeah, that was interesting.
I know Tall Dan, he was being like, somebody was having a problem and he was all rude, and the guy sent him back a rock. And eBay had the tracking of him sending it back, and when it got to Dan, they gave the guy back his money even though there was a rock in the package.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If anybody has a good horror story for eBay, I'd like to hear it. I know it's not funny, but it is. There's a lot of scammers out there, and I think the main reason I don't share my eBay channel is there's a lot of haters on YouTube. You just have to look at one of my safe videos and just look at how many awful comments there are.
Hey, Mary, why don't you just call a locksmith?
Well, no,
buy your own safe.
you get a lot of trolls, and the trolls could easily mess up the way you make money on eBay. And I don't know. I don't want to not be able to pay my computer bill or, the house payments and all that other stuff. There's a lot of overhead, living in New Jersey. It's not a cheap place to live. It's definitely not like, it's nice fast pace, but it's easy to fall behind if you don't work constantly. And I know me and Naz have been talking about going back to the flea market in the spring. I want Naz to start taking a bunch of the stuff from the warehouse and from this house to the market.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is that a good idea, or would that be something you'd want to do?
We'll chew it over. See how it goes. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, see, I think it's going to strip real fast now because I got these small pieces. They're not going to kink. And I should get this done now no less than 3 beers.
It doesn't stop if your finger goes in there, does it?
No, and like where you cleaned up that one pile, that's where the guard was. So I have to go either make another guard, because there was see right here, and then the wire goes right in there.
Yeah, I didn't see anything like that. It was all just jewelry and crappy jewelry.
Yeah, it was my old sorting thing, but
oh my god, they never get to see actual Dave's face.
yeah, they do. YouTube picks the pictures, and they get to. That tends to be a lot of the, what's it called, the opening things for a video is somebody's mug.
Oh
just
yeah, the
because
thumbnails.
The thumbnails, like, you get 3 to choose from, and if I don't do a photograph of something, then you're stuck looking at my mug. So but you can see how fast we went through. That was probably 15, 20 feet of wire, maybe more. And if you were to do this by hand, it definitely takes way, way, way longer.
You can't even compare it, dude. So, come on.
Hey Naz, have you noticed a lot more birds in my backyard since I let the thing grow? Like, it's honestly very, like, I mean, I know it looks like crap, but it's amazing how many how much
got a
more
box back here somewhere.
Yep. Have you seen the turkeys?
No, not in your yard.
Yeah, no, there's a flock of turkeys. Well,
I saw like the 50 of them by Columbus Market.
well, there's always those at Columbus. They roost right on the side over there.
Tons of freaking deer around here though.
I'm just happy we don't have some places get those black turkey vultures. I'm glad they don't hang out here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a weird wave, man, that come here. Bunch of birds.
I think it's constant flow.
Man, it's like freaking summer.
It feels just like summer. I hope some people who live in the Northeast got a chance to get out today. I know a lot of people get stuck at work, but if you have a chance to go have a beer and sit in the sun for a minute, it's definitely the day to do it. Well, it will break that cabin fever.
Yeah.
There's not even a cloud in the sky right now.
Winter's coming.
Well, they're calling for a snowstorm now on Monday, and I just called somebody, or somebody gave me a call about doing a house clean out on Monday. So I have another house clean out coming. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, I gotta go on one of those with you again. It's been a while.
Whenever you want to go, Naz, you're always invited, especially if you want to do storage room or something.
Yeah, those are fun too.
I have to go clean out. I was going to clean out the pool room today, but I decided to go strip this wire just because I didn't felt like taking a day off since I'm going to be at the market tomorrow.
Weather's perfect, man. Why would you want to be inside a storage unit today? Oh man. Man, thanks for the beer, Dave.
Anytime, miss. You're always welcome, sir.
Time to sell some eBay.
Well, I hope you have some good luck
I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Whatever, yeah.
I don't know. So, only problem is it doesn't. Yes, please. Only problem is it doesn't wrap up as nice when it's shorter. Like these were making the nice little knots, but it's working pretty well. So I decided to put the can here to catch a lot of the little pieces that come right out after I cut them loose. This is working way faster. The pair of pliers I found that day working really well. I'm trying to think of the model number. It's kind of rusted. It looks like CLA USS, but the model number is U407. Very convenient with that little spring. So I recommend them. I have a nice pair of Klein's wire cutters, and they work real nice. It's just, I don't know, that spring just has that right feeling when you're going to do a lot of scrapping. I found these clippers in that storage room where I found all the jewelry parts just recently, where I got all the turquoise from. So it was definitely a winner. What else is happening? If you made it this far into the video, if any of you guys have any good ideas or something you want to know, also send me a message. Let me know. I'll see it, like if there's a video that you would like to see. The one video I want to do is clean out the warehouse. And yes, today would be a perfect day to clean out the warehouse. It's just I felt like stripping some wire. I didn't really want to strip the wire in my garage or the basement. I kind of wanted to do it outside. It'd be too much like work doing it in a workshop, I think. And I do this for fun. Even though it does make money, my guess is scrap in a year. Let's see. Scrap in a year, probably make 8,000 to 10,000 in scrap every year. That's with all the precious metal I do. Not the precious metals. I probably like gold and silver. I'll probably scrap $5,000 to $6,000 in that a year. But I'm talking about precious like copper and brass, and I'll put lead in that. I scrap a lot of lead. Granted, I just started saving the lead to sell on eBay. It looked like piles of lead sell fairly well on eBay by weight, especially if it's small or if it's already in an ingot. Almost $1 a pound, and you're only getting about 40 cents right now a pound at the scrapyard. So I was watching one video, I don't remember who it was. Somebody was trying to make brass ingots on online, and they bought, I guess they lived in the middle of nowhere, but they bought their brass on eBay, and I was surprised. I looked it up. Scrap brass on eBay brings probably 40 cents, 50 cents more a pound than if you bring it to the scrapyard. And they were all upset because they got what was it? Probably a bunch of dirty brass in their pile. Like, so I guess you can sell anything on there. Definitely is a really nice tool. I haven't gotten into Amazon selling. I have a couple of my really good friends do Amazon. It's more, I'm not very good at I get my packages out on Monday normally, but if somebody decides to pay midweek, I might get it done on Friday. But I let everybody know in my description that I ship out on Monday. So I don't know if I have time or if it's weather's bad. I do finish all my orders. It's just on Amazon they want it out in I think it's 24 hours. So I can't always guarantee the 24-hour timeline, especially if I have a good clean out or if I have only a certain amount of time to clean out a storage room. I've been lazy recently. I've been renting the storage rooms, and it's been really convenient because they've been giving me the month discount rate. I guess the first month free, and that gives me an extra 5-6 weeks. But you know, you have to pay the taxes and insurance fee, so it costs you about $50 normally to rent one of the rooms that you win at auction. Some places won't do that. Some places don't give you the discount, so you should always ask before you buy an auction if you think that's what you're going to do. But it is nice to have the extra time to go through the stuff and I guess go get more rooms. I noticed a big change in the market this winter. We haven't there's been so many vendors set up on the cold days. Years past there only used to be, you know, 10 to 15 vendors. Now there's easily a good 120 vendors out at the market on a cold winter day, and it really has hurt business just because you only get about, you know, 500,000 customers if you're lucky, and if you're splitting them, if each one's spending $10 or something like that, you split that among 100 vendors, it's not that much money. It's $100 a piece. So I guess that might be one of the reasons. I'm selling the same stuff I sold like a couple of years ago. My friend, my tall friend Dan, he I think 2-3 years ago was doing almost $1,000 every time he went to the market in the winter, and this year he's only been doing $150-200, and that is our guess. Is the reason it's like that is because of how many vendors there are out there. I think this summer, though, my plan is to do Lambertville instead of Columbus on Sunday. It has to do, I have a lot of old things, and I can sell the newer stuff on Saturday up at the Meadowlands, like all the clean out stuff, like households. It does extremely well up there. My one friend who goes there frequently, that's the only market he does, and he still averages over $1,000 every time he sets up, and I haven't done anywhere near that at the flea markets recently, unless you count the gold that I've sold. So it's definitely that's probably a 3-4 pound pile of wire. It is going way faster clipping this stuff. I was a little disheartened when I first started and trying to figure out how to actually get a piece untwisted. I figured this was going to take me 6 hours. Finding a problem. Not enough time to drink beer. What else? I guess until last year I was farming full time. I did a vegetable farm where we did sweet corn, tomatoes, peppers, the strawberries. I mean, I still can go over. We did pumpkins and stuff. It's just farming. Not that it's I really like the work. It's really hard to make money at. So every year that I've done that, it was, you know, I didn't have money until the winter once I started doing my antiques and scrapping. So it was actually pretty nice this year to be ahead of the bills and stuff like that, because working to make money. But I do miss playing at the farm. We did, how many acres was it? I think it was 175 acres altogether, and only about 40 to 50 acres was vegetables. The rest was hay and soybeans and all that crap. It's a shame that soybeans are not the healthiest thing for you, and it's one of the things that we subsidize, that and field corn. But I mean, it's definitely a way to make money. I like everything that the farmer program does. It definitely helps a lot of families out there. In New Jersey, we've lost a lot of the big farms, but I would say there's been a resurgence of small farms, things under 50 acres. There's probably only a couple thousand large farms left in New Jersey. I'm sure one time there was tens of thousands of large farms. The soil here is really good for growing. It's one of the reasons they call it the Garden State. Basically what happened was the glaciers from way long ago left all their sediment, so we stole all the nice mineral rich stuff from Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, Maine. We got all their nice soil got deposited in New Jersey, and you can go and dig for probably 2-3 feet in most spots and not hit too many rocks, where the glaciers dropped off all their sediment. It's working. It's going right into my bucket like I was hoping. But yeah, if I did reviews and stuff, I would say this is worth buying if you're a scrapper. Let's think. One of my favorite flea market picks of last year. I wonder what that was. I mean, I would say it was. You guys saw it. It was that George Washington morning jewelry that I got from like 1876 or whatever, 1881. I think it might have been 1881. It was his 100th year probably of when he passed this century or whatever mark. But and my favorite trash pick was definitely that Fire King. I wish I had that on tape, just like those train sets I found. It was, but you can't. I was just learning how to film back then, and I still don't know how to film, but I just have fun with it. Making the videos are always fun. I think my favorite clean out thing I got was, and I wasn't making videos then, but last winter I bought a warehouse full of watch parts, and I brought a lot of that to the smelter, and that I got probably doubled my money on it, so I was happy. My favorite thing scrapping, I really like scrapping the computers. That's always a good time, taking the boards out, and then I bring those to the same smelter. I get paid decent money for it, probably average of $1.75 to $2 a pound on boards. I was very surprised to learn how well. I was very surprised to find that the vintage boards sell on eBay for almost $6 to $10 a pound. I scrapped a bunch of them, but I did keep a bunch of the interesting populated boards. I guess people do. I mean, I have a small collection of antique circuit boards and stuff. Like, I kept the pacemakers and stuff I found. That might be one of my favorite things I got from a clean out, were the pacemakers. This is working really well. I'm gonna probably do one or two more piles, try to get this garbage can filled up. I'm still on my first beer, so it is taking a bit of time to figure out the right rhythm on how to strip this wire the most efficient way. It is a little bit of a pain in the butt to cut it into the smaller pieces, but it definitely works way better. Because then you have to restart, you know, to the peel of each piece. Not that it takes a long time, it's one extra step. But my pile's pretty big still. There is a bunch of this Cat 5 wire. There's probably the bottom part of this is all Cat 5. I probably have about 200 feet of this left to do, maybe a little bit more. So it will be interesting how much little longer. Kind of want it just to lay right on my lap when I'm done. I did go to school for horticulture. That was something I didn't ever let you guys know. I really liked working in greenhouses and stuff. My friend owns a small nursery, and I worked with him for several years when I was in college, and I was offered decent jobs for running different like gardens and stuff like that, but I always wanted to do my own thing. I did try doing my own farm at one time. I did do my own I guess that's how I got into the flea market. I was selling all the flowers at the flea market that I was growing, and the lady next to me was selling stuff that I was throwing out of my grandmother's house, and she did, I think, 4 or 5 times better than I did selling plants, and she was watching me sell the whole or I was watching her sell the whole day, and she noticed, and she asked me if I because she didn't have a pickup truck. I had a pickup truck. Pickup trucks can be useful besides helping your friends move. And she asked if I helped her move some stuff, she'd show me how to sell antiques. And that was basically the way it worked. We went to our first house sale, and it was the same family had lived in the house from, I think it was 1730, and it was one of the best houses still. Like, I haven't been to an auction like that since then, where I had, I think, $800. I was like 18 years old or something like that, and me and her split what we bought. So she brought $800 to the auction, and I remember spending $75 on a Chippendale chair where the legs had been cut off, and somebody turned it into a milk stool back in the probably 1800s, 1870s or something like that. And since I was splitting the money with her, I was like, I can't believe you bought that chair. And she, you know, I was giving her a hard time, and, you know, I was a snot-nosed little kid, and she went to Lambertville. We had the truck mounted up like Bedouin, like we had a ton of stuff from that house, and the chair was sitting right on the top, and it was still dark, and she took the chair, and it was the first thing we sold for $350. And she said, Dave, I undersold it just to shut you up. And ever since then, I was amazed by junk. It caught me. So I've had fun doing it since then. But yeah, ever since I sold that chair, I've been hooked to doing the flea market. My friend taught me a bunch about vintage clothes. She ended up going to New York and starting a shop there, selling clothes. I followed her and went and did the flea market up there on started out at there was a pay lot on 7th Ave between I guess it was between 25th Street and 26th Street. I don't know if you guys ever watch Flea Market Flip. It's there's that indoor garage that was part of the market. So But I did that for about 10-15 years. Sorry. I guess I'm almost done with this beer. I guess after I finish stripping this next pile, I have to go get my second beer. I was talking about New York, and then I ended up, that's how from doing the flea market there, you know, my English friend Dave at Lambertville, I used to set up next to him. That's how I know him. And I'm actually surprised how many New York dealers, after they closed that market, made it back down to Lambertville. One of the really nice things about Brimfield is you would sit at the New York market and you'd wait for somebody who spends, you know, good money, you know, will buy stuff for, you know, $400 or $500, $600. And there was a good dozen people, but they didn't always show up every week. You know, over a 2-month period, you'd see these people, but they ended up when I went to Brimfield, and I hadn't gone to New York for a while after I had kids. They all showed up, and you saw everybody on one day in Brimfield. So ever since then, I've done Brimfield religiously, because if you bring the right stuff, the money's there. You know what I mean? If you bring stuff that's going to sell or going to make somebody excited, they'll buy it. My first Brimfield, I had cleaned out a movie theater in New York City, and I sold every last piece to one of the customers that I hadn't seen for 2-3 years, and it was really good, and it was one of my larger sales I ever did. I think he spent over $5,000 or $6,000 in one day on simple items. I don't know, hopefully you guys can get an idea what this looks like, and hopefully the motor's not too loud. Let me know if this video is too long, because I won't do another one. I don't want to bore you guys. I hope it's kind of interesting. Coming up, I do have to scrap videos. I do have to take apart my ACs. I plan on scrapping a bunch of my compressors. Tall Dan really likes scrapping compressors, and he said he'd come over and show us how he does it. And then I'm going to try to use my bandsaw to see if I can do it better than he does. It'll be interesting. But he does, you know, he'll lay out 12 to 15 compressors and get them all done in a day. It works out pretty well. Let's see if we get the last sip in. I am very happy with this stripper. Trying to think where else I like to go. I'm gonna go in March. I'm gonna go down to Florida. I do like doing the Mustang flea market when I'm down there shopping. You always find something interesting there. I've gone to Webster. I'm pretty sure I'm going to spend more time on vacation because I go with the kids. So I don't know if I'll make it to Webster. Webster, back in the day, used to be really good. You never knew what you'd find there. But if anybody recommends a flea market in Florida for end of March, let me know. I might have to check it out. I'm gonna go get another tasty beverage and be right back. So with YouTube, I really don't edit my videos. I don't know if you guys have figured that out. It takes me about 10 minutes now when I get home to upload a video. It might take the computer a half hour, but I don't waste much time. I did buy a computer to make it a little easier to its own purpose is to upload videos. I found a Mac. I have a friend that is pretty good with Macs, and I found one, or he found me one on eBay for about $400 or $500. The first one didn't actually work well. The second one did, but they were both guaranteed when we bought them. So the Mac does work pretty well. My parents have a new desktop Mac, and I have uploaded stuff using theirs, and it's about twice as fast as a laptop. I was very to render the video. That's if you have money, that's what I would recommend to do. But I don't know. I bought a used one that's about I think what my friend said is anything before 2006 has one of those better processors. Anything after anything after 2006. Anything before 2006 has the old processor, and it's not as fast, and you can't really upgrade it, he was telling me. So that is, I don't know, that's basically what I do for my YouTube. I can't believe that I don't know if anybody's looked recently, but the dumb safe videos, like where I was opening safes from the storage rooms, those are my most popular videos, even though, I mean, anybody could do it. I used to split firewood. I think that's why I'm good at swinging a hammer. But it would be nice if one of the flea market videos got a ton of views one day. I'm happy with how fast we've grown. I can't believe that also. I'm really bad with using the computer, so I've never done any of the social media or Facebook. So for us to have grown as fast, it's definitely I'm gonna blame you guys, because you must have helped me get the word out there. I appreciate that, and thank you. It honestly has been fun watching it grow. I just film what I like when I film, because I could see being easy to get burn out doing this. You know, if you don't go and I found that this has helped me get out and go and get more deals and storage rooms, go to more house cleanouts, and it's just been better for me all around. I have thought about doing a I guess like a subscribe channel or something where I show you guys like how I sell all my stuff, but I'm not ready for it. Maybe one day. I don't want to. I'm just happy that you guys watch. If anybody wants to do anything special for me, you know, share a video. I really appreciate that. I don't need any gifts or anything. You know, share a video, send me a message. I mean, that's honestly the best thing you guys could do for me. I watch some of the things that, you know, people do, like all these openings of stuff. It's not for me. I'm glad that you guys appreciate, you know, watching me and my friends do what we do. Trying to think what else is going on this week. I did get a call. One of the calls was for that house clean out, so it sounds like I'm gonna go over there on Thursday and check that out. My curly hair friend Dan, he's the one who helped me get that job. It was there wasn't a lot of antiques. I did see some old stuff, but it was just a very nice clean house, and the executors need it cleaned out, so I'm gonna go make a deal for that. Hopefully it's as clean as he said it was. We'll get over there and I'll probably do 2 videos on that. I always like how Tucker Upper gets into those foreclosures, but what happens is if you leave a house, at least here in the Northeast, and you don't have your AC on or a house fan moving the air, it does get really moldy, and I don't need any mold any more mold. The one nice thing about my storage room or storage like warehouse is since it's raised, it keeps the airflow, and that airflow keeps down on any, like, I have stuff in there that's been there for probably a year and fabric, and it's not moldy. Like, it doesn't smell musty. My warehouse was for storing apples at one time, so that's why it was raised, and that's what why they needed the airflow. But compared to like a concrete slab, like I've been into some warehouses where it's been on a concrete slab, and those concrete slabs just ooze moisture if you put it in a wet spot. Now if it's in a nice perked area, I've been in other places where the concrete's, you know, fine, but if you have it in a wet spot, it will ooze moisture. And I guess with the temperature changes, concrete does sweat, especially here in the Northeast with the amount of humidity we have. I know the storage at this house, like in the garage, if you leave stuff too long, it does get it will pick up a little bit of mold just because of not having the air circulation in the garage. And I've noticed in a lot of the storage rooms too, if they've sat for a bunch of years, there's a couple companies just have a really bad mold problem. So it's not something fun to play with, or when you're trying to find stuff to sell, you end up throwing out way more than you use. I think that's one of the main reasons why Tucker throws out a lot of the stuff that he's going through. I have admitted to, I do watch my videos just to try to make them better and try to make it flow. When I say I don't do editing, I edit it in my head, kind of. If something doesn't make sense when I'm saying it, I might erase it on the camera, but that's about it. Otherwise, basically you get everything fairly uncensored. I am going to start a large garden this summer. I have that kind of planned out. I gotta go while the ground's still frozen. I plan on ordering some of my soil. I cheat. I buy compost when I start my gardens, and it works amazingly well. I just put it right on the grass. I don't even rip the grass up, and it kills the grass. So I'll show you guys that this summer. I'm sure people are going to go insane about that, thinking that the grass is going to grow right through, but never had a problem, and I've done tons of them. I think we're going to go mostly flower, probably part vegetable. The one problem is we have a ton of deer. They say that deer were extinct in New Jersey, and back in the 20s, 2 hunting clubs brought them in, and from that is where all the deer came from in New Jersey. But basically what happened was in the 20s, right after the 20s, everybody stopped farming, and I guess farming moved out west with the use of the tractors and everything that came in. And you used to be able to see, like, I see old photos and stuff that I clean out, and you could see, like, if it's a side of a house or something, there won't be one tree next to that house for a half a mile. And that had to do with everybody was burning coal and firewood and everything else, and literally they cut every tree from here to Maine. I think they said twice since the 1700s, because there isn't any old growth. There's only one small old growth patch in I believe it's the Adirondacks. There's, I believe, 175 acres of old growth trees in the Adirondacks, and that's one place I really want to go visit. If anybody else knows of an old growth forest on the Northeast, please let me know. That's the only one I've ever heard of. I would like to go see it, just because most of the trees that we see are only about 100 years old, 150 years old, unless they're in front of like a building or something like that. But if you look in the woods, all that was all pasture land and all cut down, you know, to have your cows, or you figure how many dairies and stuff there were everywhere. And as people stopped doing all that, everything's grown up, and it made habitat for the deer. That's why we have so many deer now. You know, that's not antiquing or scrapping or anything else, but I just always find that interesting. All right, I got almost a trash can of strip wire. It's gonna take a minute to. I got only about 100 feet left to send through the stripper, so think that's what I'll work on before I start splitting that wire. So for years people called me Farmer Dave instead of Blue Bus, and I got the bus because my one friend over by the farm was like, oh, you need a bigger vehicle, and I was like, I don't really have the money right now to do that. And I was looking at buses online, and the next thing I knew, he showed up, and he had bought a bus on online, and I guess he held the loan for me. So like I had like $2,000 or $3,000 at the time, and I owed him $2,000 for it. But I was just lucky. I was lucky to have a good friend that did that. But right now the bus is busted. I either have like I would think it's a power drain on the battery or something, or it might be the radio being disconnected. Maybe the hot is found somewhere but it keeps on draining the battery and killing it. And there was a couple times at the flea market right in the fall where it was really hard to start the bus at the end of the market because it didn't have enough juice. So I have to get that back on the road, just because I have so much stuff for the markets. And I don't know if you guys see how many people are go through the truck. I don't mind the people going through the truck, just because I know what I put in the truck. There was only 3 boxes last time of stuff I didn't know what was in the truck, and it gives people you know, if they're going through it and they find something cool, they don't want the other person next to them having it, so they tend to buy things that they don't really need. But in the bus, I can kind of like funnel it out through the whole day. And you know, if you hand somebody a box, they get all possessive of the stuff in the box, and they don't let the people around them buy it. So I definitely have better sales. Like I don't mind people unpacking boxes for me, because it's amazing. I'll probably sell average of 40% of my sales of people who like are going through boxes like that. I mean, and it gives it that discovery feel at the flea market. So one thing at the market, you always cost yourself money if you tell people what things are. I always find, unless it's something super rare. But you know, if it's a snap-on tool wrench, and you know you have 2 of them in the toolbox, and somebody says, do you have any snap-on? It's better for the person to find it, and then they feel like, you know, they found a score. And I always play ignorant at the market, and it does help. That helps with sales, at least I find, especially with jewelry. I give as little information as possible when I used to sell jewelry in the city, because as soon as I start talking about it, people put it down. If you let them figure out what it is, you know, let their imagination work, then they tend to buy it. I don't know. I've been doing the market almost over 20 years, so it took me once I said thank you and started taking people's money, it was when I was able to support myself. But before that, it was hard. Like, trying to figure out this business is definitely not easy. there's a lot of trial and error. A lot of things, you know, won't move. It's definitely I recommend to anybody who's thinking about getting into this business to have a full-time job or partner up with somebody who has a lot of experience, because it is definitely a big learning curve, let's say, and it's easy to spend all your money and not make it back. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be the easiest thing in the world. Most people have to figure it out for themselves. I'm happy I figured out cutting this. It's making it so much easier. And before, when it was really long, it was taking a lot of like hand strength. Like my hands would have cramped up if I had kept on going, untwisting everything. This is very much less work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you guys a weight today, because I'm just going to finish stripping and I'm going to take the sheath off another day, because I still need to go load up for the flea market tomorrow. If I don't spend an hour picking out my boxes, I won't make more than $100. I gotta go into my storage in the garage and see if there's anything good there. I might do another video on that after this. My kids always have a good time setting up at the market, but one thing I do with the kids is I try to take them on a nice day. I don't want to take them out where I'm going to make them suffer, like it being too cold or too hot, and then them not wanting to come. And like last year, my daughter didn't go once, really. I think she went once or twice, and the year before she went, you know, probably 10-15 times. And this year she actually asked me to go back and do it. That's why I've been saving all that jewelry for her, and those stones and everything. She does pay me, or she does pay for her table rent, and if I do put out money for something, she does always pay me back for it. So it's not like I give it to her for free all the time. And the other thing was, I always make them put 20%. They're only allowed to spend 20% of what they make, like, so they'll have spending money for a week or two, but the rest has to go in the bank, and they're not allowed. It's like one of those accounts where they can't really spend it unless you sign off on it. So that might be I think I take them I don't know if anybody's caught those my early videos where I did all the yard sailing. Those were kind of fun with the kids, where I gave them $10 and let them decide what they were going to buy. My son one day, he wasted all of his money real fast, and at the end he found this fish tank for lizards, and he asked the lady if she'd hold it for him till next week when he had his $10. And the next week, yard sale happened, or I guess it was a little rainy or whatever, but we still went yard sailing. He made me go over and knock on the lady's doors to see if she had this fish tank, and she saved it for him. So this I guess this week he finally decided to go get he got a little leopard gecko, and I think he named it Striker or something like that, but it's funny watching them try to rationalize what they should buy, what they shouldn't. All right. So, one thing I do remember, my grandmother used to take me to, I guess it was Columbus when I was a kid, and I used to go there to go buy blow pops and candy to go bring to school and go sell it for so I had money. But besides that, like, I never had we'd go yard sailing also, but I never had never set up at the flea market or anything until I was older. I just messed up one. Maybe I'll send it through again. Won't hurt it. I got a pretty big pile right now. Definitely a lot of stuff. It shouldn't take much more than 3 or 4 minutes probably to go through this 200 foot of wire on in my lap. So I know I'm not done, but my camera just literally is full. So, like the card, it doesn't have any more memory left. So I'm out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. I highly appreciate it. I'll see everybody else next video. So thank you. Peace. I'm just going to keep on